Incredibilis. Incredibilis.
Incredibilis!
Hello there, welcome back to my channel. My name is JaerTheBear, and as of the dev stream yesterday, some huge news has been revealed about For Honor. Not only about the upcoming season entitled Tyranny, but also what we can expect moving beyond that. The dev stream was very long, so I'm not going to cover everything that was revealed, but there are some super exciting things I'd like to touch on in this video, namely, the developers teasing that Apollyon may in fact be alive, Test Your Metal is returning, Test Your Metal is being included as part of the canon lore of For Honor's universe, the Centurion Rework, and some additional hero balancing. These are all very exciting topics for me and a lot of the player base of For Honor, but this is absolutely not all that was shown, not by a long shot, so I will leave a link to the full stream pinned in the comments. It was stated repeatedly in the Warrior's Den that this is the biggest season and content drop of For Honor so far, and that they are keeping a lot of things secret to surprise us with later. I'm super excited to share some of what was discussed with you today, so with all that said, let's get on to the topics at hand. So I'd like to start with the first thing that I mentioned, and that is the possibility of Apollyon being alive. If you've played the campaign in For Honor, you would remember that throughout the game, the main antagonist is Apollyon, a deranged woman who identifies with the philosophy of constant war, viewing peace as a lie and a disease. At the end of the campaign, the Emperor's champion and Orochi of renown duels Apollyon atop her fortress, and after a hard-fought duel, she is defeated. Upon imparting a final speech about her intentions, she falls seemingly dead. Or is she? We never hear much about her, the Warden, the Raider, or the Emperor's Champion after that final cutscene, and indeed, for a long time in For Honor, that's all there was to the lore of the game. All of it, contained within the campaign. Until Year 4, that is. With the release of Season 1 of Year 4, entitled Hope, the lore of the game had been expanded, with the warring factions seeking peace throughout Heathmoor with the Treaty of Wyverndale. And with the release of Season 2 of Year 4, this is starting to shift again, as Apollyon is prominently featured throughout the trailers, and the background for the standoff in the match loading screen, there is a white rose that turns red and withers away just before the match begins, as well as the thematic color for this season being a toxic green. Is this Apollyon coming back from the grave, or was she never dead to begin with? The developers certainly seem to know, but it seems like they want to leave us uncertain, possibly for a big reveal in the future. Personally, I think edgy War Mom is 100% coming back. Maybe she'll make a grand appearance, popping out of a big gothic cake or something. Make sure you tell me what you think in the comments below. I hope she does come back. I think she's actually a pretty cool antagonistic character. Speaking of Apollyon, that's a perfect segue into the next portion of this video, which is the return of the Test Your Metal game mode. While Apollyon has yet to reappear in the lore of the game, she's definitely making a reappearance in the game itself with the return of the Test Your Metal game mode. The game mode is a fan favorite from Season 5 that a whole heckin' bunch of players have been asking the devs to bring back, including myself. And in this iteration of the game mode, just like the previous, you will face boss characters from the campaign such as General Tozen, Gudmundur, Holden Cross, Mercy, and of course the War Mom Apollyon herself. Originally, the game mode lasted 3 weeks and got more difficult with each week. However, in this iteration, titled the Metal Trials, it will instead be divided into 2 chapters, with the chapters deciding whom you will face in combat. The game mode is 4v4 PvE elimination, with the winner being whichever side can win a best 4 out of 7 rounds. Do take note, however, that unlike the previous incarnation of this game mode, the fight will get harder with each round you win, not on subsequent weeks. Chapter 1 will have you facing off against either Knights, Vikings, or Samurai from the campaign, with each faction having its own unique and named characters pulled from the campaign to battle against, namely a leader or boss character with their supporting entourage. For example, if you started a match and you were set to compete against the Vikings, you would be placed against Gudmundur along with his entourage of Ragnar, Runa, and Siv, who are a Warlord, Valkyrie, and Berserker, respectively. Chapter 2 will have you facing off against only boss characters, with Apollyon, General Tozen, Shadow of General Tozen, and Gudmundur being the static characters you will be competing against. This mode comes with its own unique pool of rewards, including an all-black color palette, weapons, armor, an emote, Apollyon symbols that you can place on your armor, and more. As if this weren't enough, this return of Test Your Metal is also being documented in the lore as canon. If you're a fan of For Honor, don't miss this event. The awards are way too cool to miss. I made the mistake the first time. I didn't get all the rewards that I wanted. And that was like when Season 5 was. It was like 2 years ago. We might never get this again, folks. Play all the characters. Get all the stuff. This might be the last time it comes around. On top of that, the game mode's actually really fun. Moving past Test Your Metal, we are going to get into a portion of the video that you could say is the baguette to the Frenchman's hon-hon. It's the Centurion rework. Long had the sacred texts foretold its arrival. It's coming on June 11th. 2020, the start of tyranny. So, I'm not going to keep you waiting anymore. Let's get into the patch notes for Centurion's rework. And I'll also show you a little bit of what they showed in the dev stream so you can see these changes in action. Alright, I've got a list here. I'm just going to read right down the list, and I'll also put up the cards they showed in the stream onto the screen while I'm reading from that particular card. So, starting with the first card, his jab is now feintable. Feinting a jab into a guard break can now catch players attempting to roll out of your mix-up. The stun property has been removed from an uncharged jab, also known as a quick jab. The jab can now swap targets just like, for example, Warden or Hitokiri can with their charged shoulder bashes and heavy attacks respectively. A fully charged jab now grants uninterruptible stance 366 milliseconds before it is unleashed. His chain light attacks are faster, with the second light attack in a chain being 500 milliseconds from 600, and the third light in a chain being 500 milliseconds from 700. His quick throw, which is the guard break you can attempt immediately after throwing a light, has been entirely removed and replaced with the jab action, allowing you to follow up light attacks with jab directly, eliminating the need to initiate your main mix-up with a heavy. His parry counter now chains into his jab instead of his kick, which will allow a fully charged jab off of a wall splat. His Legion kick is now 500 milliseconds from 600 milliseconds. He has increased forward strafe distance and increased forward dodge distance when locked onto an enemy. He has increased movement distance of his zone attack, light opener, heavy finisher, jab, and Eagle's Fury. Eagle's Fury, which is his forward dodge jump attack, is now 800 milliseconds from 1000 milliseconds. And that's it for his rework. I wasn't a big fan of his previous rework that was presented to us in Season 3 of Year 3. However, I'm quite pleased with this one. Me, along with, I would guess, everyone else in the For Honor community, is heckin' pleased with this rework, and are happy that our favorite Roman boy can finally keep up with the roster in 2020. But Centurion wasn't the only one to get any changes. No, there was a handful of other heroes that got changed too. So the final portion of the livestream that I will be covering in this video and the final section of this video is the hero balancing section. There's a lot of changes in here that I suspect a lot of people are going to be heckin' pleased with. These changes are meant to address frustrations when dealing with certain specific characters, namely shrieking Icelandic zealots and creepy creepers that like to wear trees on their heads. So starting with our favorite shrieking zealot, Jormungandr. Top heavy opener now gains hyper armor at 600 milliseconds, was 400. Side heavy opener now gains hyper armor at 500 milliseconds, was 400. Serpent Smite, the dodge forward heavy of the Jormungandr, now gains hyper armor at 700 milliseconds, was 100 milliseconds. Stamina damage and regeneration pause has been reduced on all melees. Light plus melee finishers are now frame disadvantaged, and heavy into heavy finisher feinted in the guard break can now catch opponents trying to roll out of your mix-up. Moving on to the creepy executioners, Hitokiri, uncharged heavy opener, no longer applies hyper armor. Hitokiri's leg sweep now has hyper armor applied at 1000 milliseconds from 800 milliseconds. Zenbone Sakura is now considered a top unblockable attack and is thus now parryable. Light finishers are now no longer enhanced, and it is possible for the opponent to dodge a Hitokiri light finisher. Up next is our favorite chunky guardian, the Shugoki. Light opener hyper armor now starts at 300 milliseconds from 200. Heavy opener hyper armor now starts no earlier than 433 milliseconds into the charge from 400. And Shugoki is no longer immune to guard break attempts while charging a heavy opener. Up next is For Honor's resident Uncle Iro, Zhang Jun, whose HP has been reduced from 145 to 140. Next is the Law himself. His HP has been reduced from 140 to 150, and his Impale now follows the normal binding rules. Next up is our devilishly deadly dancer Nisha. And there are a lot of changes to her infection feat here. It now causes a light hit reaction when cast. It now lasts for 10 seconds with 10 possible ticks of damage. It now deals 10 damage per tick. Previously the damage was 5 for the first tick and then plus 3 for all subsequent ticks. The cooldown is now 120 seconds instead of 180 seconds. The radius is now 5 meters instead of 6 meters. And the visual feedback is improved. And then we have a change to her Deadly Duet feat, which now increases damage dealt by 20%. And finally we have Mr. Edgy Darkneth himself. The Black Prior, his Bulwark counter, can now only flip events that are considered attacks, and can no longer flip things such as traps, players entering or exiting ladders, ragdoll bodies, and other odd things. Basically, if someone's not attacking you with something, you can't flip it. That being said, I'm sure given Black Prior's history with his Bulwark counter, he'll find a way around this in a few days or so. But, careening off from that, that is it for this video. I sincerely hope you enjoyed it. I'd love nothing more than to cover the entire stream, however that would make the video really long, like close to 40 minutes long, and would require a lot more time to produce than I'm currently allotting myself for this. So once again, I sincerely hope you enjoyed, and if you did, maybe consider leaving a like. It really helps out my channel, much more so than you'd believe, and if you really enjoyed it, maybe even consider subscribing. If you do, I'll love you forever. And we can go get ice cream, and go to the beach, and raise an army of Spaniards to besiege Constantinople. Be sure to tell me what you think of the changes documented in this video in the comments down below, and thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna head off and take a heckin' huge nap.